Okay, we're going to talk about what is an ecological pyramid. We've already gone over the food chain. That's the first trophic system. Now, before I get to the ecological pyramid, let's talk about food chains versus food webs. So one question, is this realistic? Do you think osprey only eat trout and trout only eat minnows? The answer would be no. So while food chains are very convenient for scientists, they really don't represent reality. What's more realistic is a food web, which is several interconnecting food chains. But another useful model, which we'll discuss shortly, is the biological pyramid or the ecological pyramid. So what I'm going to show you is how to convert this food chain into an ecological pyramid. So we had our little ecosystem, and on the bottom of the base of the food chain is always the producers. Now, I'm just sort of, picky about this. I like my producers to be green because they're always photosynthesizers. So, in our ecological pyramid, the producers would still be the base of the food chain. And in our lake ecosystem, the producers were algae. And then we're still going to have the same consumers. And so the primary consumer, the herbivores of this ecosystem, were the minnows. Now these two bars should probably be the same width. I'm just not very adept at using this marker, obviously, because look at the way I just wrote minnows. And then the trout were the next level, and then the osprey, the bird of the prey, were at the top. So what I did is I converted my food chain into this ecological pyramid, and each level either represents A, the stored or chemical energy of each trophic level, or B, the biomass. So again, I took the same food chain that we've been studying and I just wrote it in a different form. So, oh my goodness, I misspelled algae. I am just really embarrassed here. You guys should just fire me, okay? All right, as we've already talked about, that why doesn't all the energy that's in the algae's body make it up to the minnow? Or if all the trout in the lake would eat all the minnows, why doesn't all the stored energy in the minnow's body make it up to the level of the trout? Well, we've already talked about that because every step of the way, energy is released as heat. So we already know that all the energy of one trophic level does not make it up to the next. In fact, there's the 10% rule. Typically, only 10% of the energy of one trophic level makes it up to the second. So again, now it's sort of hard to fish out all the minnows and figure out how much chemical energy is stored in their bodies. And so that's why it's more convenient to use the term biomass. You just scoop out all the minnows and you mass them. You find your mass. And then you scoop out all the trout and you mass them. So, because again, the more massive a body is, the more chemical energy it has stored in it. Now, honestly, when I first learned about these ecological pyramids, I thought, wow, this is sort of boring. You take a little food chain and put it into boring form. But if you really understand ecological pyramid, there are very, very important issues that affect your life, whether you want to be affected by them or not. And we'll talk about some in the next module. I'll see you there.